Do you guys also have to deal with cultural differences? How does it make you feel? Because sometimes it can be very challenging. This is one of many topics we are going to talk about with today's couple. We're also going to talk about how important it is to work on the same goal.
Thank you so much for listening to International Love Story, a podcast about long-distance relationships. My name is Christina.
My name is Ignacio.
And today we are welcoming Sofie and Bismark. Sofie is from Denmark and Bismark is from Ghana. And they're currently together reunited in Ghana. So welcome, guys, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
Thank you. We're really happy to be here.
So excited to meet you. And we had the chance to talk to you already a couple of days ago. And how are you guys doing today?
We are very good today. Bismark only had to work a little bit. So today we went and jumped out a balcony. So today we went out to buy a pallet, put on the balcony. So we've actually been spending the whole day together.
Yeah, it was a really wonderful day today. We just wanted to make sure our balcony worked. So, I did some on our work today. Then we hit like the place where we can get food and some flowers and things for the balcony. It's been a great day to do so far.
You were able to spend a few hours together today because, Bismark, you are a doctor and you are quite working a lot. And Sofie is about to be one as well. I think you finished in 1 year, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And all in all, you managed, despite the current situation, to close the gap. And we know that the last weeks were quite emotional, as Sofie was telling us last time, that you had to take some extra shift, basically, in the hospital. I think it was just very overwhelming for both of you. So how were the last month? How did you feel?
Well, as you said, it's been very overwhelming. Like the whole process, can we do it? Can we not do it? How should we do it? And for instance, Denmark is not really saying you can go, but only necessary travel. So should you actually go against the travel restrictions in your country? I think there's a lot of thought that goes through that. And like, could I get insurance? What would happen to me if I got COVID? Could I be flown home? Like, what would happen to me if I got some other disease while being here? And since Bismarck worked as a doctor, he's not more exposed, but I was also afraid of that. And there's all the paperwork you need. Like, it was not that bad, but it's just overwhelming not really knowing because the rules change. So like, they change every week. So I had to get a COVID test and I had to get flight tickets. I had to get the visa. Not in that, like, not that step. It was the opposite way, but I had to get a lot of paperwork to come here. Luckily that I'm doing a research year, so I can just travel whenever I want because my mental stay with it. Otherwise, I would have to go to school. Just like every other couple, they would have to work or anything. I'm quite lucky that I have time to do it and just can bring my work.
Yeah, just to add a little bit on that, this month, like the past few months, things have been really tough because it was really filled with uncertainties. That's the problem, Sometimes you know what to do, but like the uncertainties make things really difficult to plan. One of the biggest ones was COVID because it just made everything hard. And then for us, like we really needed this time together to stay, to really get to know even more about ourselves because we are newly in love. I would say newly in love, even though we're more than a year now, but we really needed this time to bond together. And then all the uncertainties, whether Sofie could come, was really hard. But I think it happened because we really wanted it to.
I mean, all in all, your story in general is quite unique. I mean, Bismark, it was a lot of effort, or you put a lot of effort, basically to win Sofie for yourself. And yeah, oh. And after all, it's totally worth it. I mean, you guys just sitting, I mean, on the other side of the world, but you are together. And it's just so nice to see you together because, as we said, we had the chance to meet you a couple of days ago already. And it's just so lovely how you basically like look into each other's eyes and you just feel like there's a connection. I just think, we think it's just a very unique story. So maybe you would like to talk about, Bismark, how you won Sofie's heart a couple of months ago, because you said your love is quite fresh. And indeed, it's fresh. It's 1 year young, if you could say so, right?
Yeah. I want to talk about it. I really love this story because telling her that I'll keep on saying this story, and then our kids will probably be happy to hear this story every day. It could be their bedtime story. Yeah, but I met Sofie apparently just a year and 2 months, few days ago. And then actually at that point, I was like, okay, I'm not getting into anything because I had a big exam coming. So I'm not seeing anyone. Like, I don't want to see. I really needed to learn. And so like these group of students come to my school for an exchange. There are 10 people. Okay, so I'm like, oh, I really need to just go and say hi to them. Okay, so I go to the room. I see that there's this special person like sitting in the corner. Like, let me step one. I'm not even trying to see anyone. Okay, but I see that there's some connection right after seeing her. But I'm like, no, you told yourself you're not seeing anyone. You have a big exam. Besides, they were only staying in our school for like a week just to see the hospital for just a week. So it's not really such like a good thing to do something for a week, because like I didn't want anything to control it. But I still felt a connection that I should maybe say hi, So it's funny because around that time, she was giggling with another person when I was like trying to say hi to all of them. Okay, and then she was just like laughing with another person on the bus. I thought maybe I was being funny. And then she was like just laughing at what I was saying. And in my mind, I just said, maybe that's also a good sign, You're being funny, like she thinks you're funny, which is a good sign. So I just decided to get close. And I got close to her. And I realized that she's a really good person and then a really thoughtful person. And then I really liked her just from the first day. But it was new, so I didn't want to like take it further or like have my hopes higher in inside of study. So over the few days, we got to spend some time together. We did a movie together with her and her friend. And then in the movie, she didn't notice, but I actually looked at her. And then I felt like I wanted her. But she was like, no, I have an eye for someone, just joking, just joking. I have an eye for someone. Because I was also joking around, like, oh, maybe I have an eye for you. She's like, oh, I also have an eye for someone. And everything.
Oh.
So we did our first dance, I think 3 days afterwards, we went to a club. Okay. They were dancing. So we're like dancing together. We're a group of like 7. Everybody was dancing with everybody. But whenever I danced with her, I felt like there was a connection. But I got her drunk that night. So I told myself it doesn't count because like we all both need to be in our sober selves to really know.
And I was also like, no, because I was really drunk at that point.
Yeah. But maybe it was all part of how everything started. I needed to. That's a point for me. I got you. So we came back to the hostel after like the night, and the next morning she was really beaten up. So the whole group was going for a movie. It was Lion King time at the cinema. She couldn't go. Okay, and I also couldn't go because she was so beat down. I got her to and then so the next day after the movie, I was like, maybe we can like do the Lion King alone, like with her other friend who also couldn't go. She said yes. Okay. So we sit in the cinema. I look at her, but she doesn't know. She actually didn't know I was looking at her. Even now, she didn't know. And in my mind, I wanted her. As she thought I also wanted her friend.
Oh.
So I wanted her. I was like, oh, I really like this girl sitting next to me, but she's always saying, oh, I have an eye for another person. I have an eye for another person. Okay. So right after the movie, we hit a club again. We hit a club again that night. And then we're doing the same dancing again. Everybody's dancing with everybody. But whenever I dance with her, I feel this connection. So we're dancing, and then she says, and I ask her, do you like me? And then she goes, let's not talk about this here. So she pulls me to a corner in the club, and then she kisses me. And then I'm so surprised because I was like, I feel how an eye for someone else. And she's like, I was joking, like I was just like joking around. I'm like, so for the past 3 days, I'm telling myself I like this girl, but I don't think she likes me back. But she actually did like that. But then it was like the fourth day, and they were spending only a week in my school. So it was just like 3 days. So I was like, this is really not enough. We wasted 4 days trying to see whether we liked each other or not. It was 3 days. So it was actually one of the nicest 3 days I ever spent in my life, thinking about exams.
Oh.
Yeah. So like we spent the 3 days really nice. We went to the pool. We did some other things. We had food sometimes together and everything. But on the day that she was supposed to leave, I realized that I hadn't had enough. She was leaving to a different part of the country. Their program was 1 week in each different city in my country. So, and I also had my exam the next week, so I couldn't go with them to the next week. But I realized that I had found someone that I really wanted to spend more time with, not just 3 days. Okay? So I remember their bus left at 4 a.m. that day, but I was with her when like we were going to the bus station and everything. And at 4 a.m., I cried actually. So she didn't know I was crying. I was crying because I felt like I wanted more. So she got on the bus, and then we told ourselves we were going to see each other again because I was going to Germany in 2 weeks. Right?
No, in a month.
In a month, yeah. I was going to Germany in a month, so I was like, okay, I'll see you in a month in Germany because Germany is close to Denmark. So she went to the other city. We used to text on the phone, but I felt like I needed to show her that I meant more than I actually did when she was with me, because it was just for 3 days. So she finished her whole program in the other city, and she had 2 days, which she decided to spend 1 day in a very nice beach in the country, which is like 5 hours away from my city. Okay, that was on a Sunday. And then my big exam was supposed to be on a Monday. I studied so much for it. And then, so I told myself, if you really want to tell her you love her, if you really want to show her that like she means a lot, you have to show it now. It can't be in a month and not be in a month, because who knows what happens in a month? Like, see, COVID just hit us. We didn't know anything. So I was just there on a Saturday evening, just like studying. I was like, no, I really need to see her in the other city. So I just took my books, put on my bag and everything, and then hit the bus around 5 a.m. Sunday, so that she was supposed to get to the city at the beach around 11. So I planned it so that I would hit like the city around 10, so she would find me on the beach when she gets there, because she thought I was never going to be around him. Texted him. So I hit the bus, and I'm in the bus, and she's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" It's like 8 a.m. I'm like, "I'm studying," which was true because I wasn't lying. I was studying in the bus. So I was studying in the bus and just hoping that she would not know because I wanted it to be a surprise. Okay. So apparently, when they were picking their bus, one of them left their bags in the bus in another city. So like the organization member of the whole trip from Ghana who was going with them to the other city had to stay back to look for the bag of one of the candidates who lost it. And then they were like, "Oh, maybe we can wait for all of you for her to find the bag before we go to the city." I had already texted like the person who was in charge of them that I'm really trying to surprise Sofie. So please let them come. Like, because if they wait another hour, that was it. Because per my calculations, I could only spend 2 hours in the city with her and then get another bus back to write my exam. So I didn't want anything to just mess it up. So they took the bus alone to this beach where they didn't know. And then they told me to meet them at the bus station. But to the group, they told them, "Oh, someone is going to meet you," because they didn't want to mention my name so that the surprise would change. So they told them, "Someone is going to meet you at the bus station." Like, there's another guy meeting us at the bus station. "Do you know this guy?" So I gave him one of my names that nobody really knows. I have names. In Ghana, you get so many names, so many. You get a name for like the day you were born or the week. So I was born on a Friday, and you call it Kofi. You're born on a Friday. So I told them to tell the group the guy meeting them is Kofi, which is not Bismark. So but she still thought it was me somewhere. I had told her I was Kofi, but in Ghana, 1 million people could be Kofi because 1 million people could be born on Friday. Yeah. So she's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" "I'm studying. So I get to the bus station. And unfortunately, there were 2 different bus stations in the city. And I go to the wrong one. And they arrive at a different. Okay? So they arrive, and then there's no one there to pick them up. So they kept on texting, "Where is this Kofi guy who's supposed to pick us up?" I'm like, "Oh shit, like I'm not at the right station." So I pick a cab at the right station. And I get out of the cab. And then they see me, but she can't see me. She's looking at me, but she can't see me because she probably wasn't expecting it. So the other people are like, "Oh, that's Bismark. Who is Bismark here? Like, how is like, yeah, I'm the Kofi guy who's supposed to meet you." And then she just,
I think it took like 10 seconds to realize that it was actually him.
and then that look in her eyes, when she saw me, I knew that I had made the right choice. Because that I knew that it wasn't worth it. Like traveling those 5 hours to tell her how much she is. For me, I think without that, I don't know in her head, but for me, I think it made a lot of mark. And I think that it was worth my exam because like you can always rewrite an exam, but sometimes you may not be able to get what I have. So I kind of like spent the awesome 2 hours on a beach, in a beach house with her. And I told her I was going to see her in a month. And this time I think it made more sense than seeing her. So that is a pretty little abridged version of the story.
I think it was the long version.
But yeah, that's it.
That's it.
That's quite romantic, I must say. It's movie romantic.
Yeah, that's movie material. I mean, you took a 5-hour bus to see her for 2 hours, and the same day you went back home 5 hours.
My exam. I was happy writing my exam.
You passed your exam, yeah.
Which is a good thing. He's doing the same thing now. It was gynecology. It
was a gynecology exam, and now I'm in gynecology now. So it's good I passed. Otherwise, I would not be.
So what did you think when you saw Bismark at the bus station?
Well, the thing was that I really didn't expect it. So one of the other guys goes like, "This is Bismark," and I'm like, "Nah, it's not. He just texted me. He's not here." I had my suspicions, but I was like, "It's not him," because he kept like texting that it was someone else. So I got really surprised. And I just remember like I like couldn't really get it through my head. So it took like 10 seconds or so before I like reacted on it. But when I just dropped everything, I went to hug him because it was in front of the whole group. So yeah. It's not often you have that big an audience.
Yeah. Oh. But you knew for sure, I mean, after that, you knew for sure that you'll see each other in Germany again. I mean, if he's crazy enough to take a bus just for a few hours, you'll be crazy enough to jump into a plane and see you wherever you can basically, meet each other again. And by the way, for everyone who's listening, I don't know if you noticed, Bismarck, but if Sofie looked at you, she looked at you right now, when started dating, it is quite obvious that she really likes you a lot. So I don't know how you could have like thought that she doesn't want anything at all, but like her look or the way she looked at you just said like a million words right now.
She was hard to read.
It was just not a trip where I thought like I was supposed to meet anything. I was like, this is just like I'm just going here and then I'm going straight home. Like nothing is gonna happen with anyone. And it did.
Worked out perfectly. So yeah, and then you met each other in Germany a few weeks later, right?
Yeah, like a month later we met first in Germany, then in Rome, and then in Madrid, and then in Copenhagen. Yeah.
Well, how many weeks?
It was a month. So because I was studying and Bismarck was doing his like exchange in Germany, so we met to a different place every weekend.
And then I spent about a week after like the whole thing with her in Denmark. So I flew from Denmark to Ghana.
And you got to know her hometown in Denmark, her friends, family, like the whole program. How did you feel, or how was it in general?
First, you were supposed to meet my stepmom, which was not that scary. And you were supposed to meet my mom, which was a bit more scary. He was not really supposed to meet my dad, but unlike
Scary.
But on the first night we go out to like a whiskey bar and we come back to the station and there is my dad. And I'm like, this is weird. I know this person, but I can't really get it through my head why he would be at a station in like the middle of the city, like the inner Copenhagen in the middle of the night. And he's going to run some errand apparently. And I'm just like, this is my boyfriend that I had like briefly told him about.
I thought I was supposed to meet like from the bottom of the chain, before I get to like married. And then the first person I meet is like awful.
Why was it such a big deal, if you could say so, to meet Sofie's father? May I ask?
Well, I mean, for us, for me in my culture, like the dad is seen as like a big figure.
Yeah.
So like, if you want to meet like your girlfriend's parents, the dad is like the one who's like, oh, it's my daughter. I don't know if you know the feeling, but it's because like the dad is like a big figure, very big figure. Actually, both dad and mom, parents. So I felt like that way because like I felt like, well, I needed to impress him. That's what I said. I thought.
And when did you have the chance, Sofie, to meet Bismarck's family and friends?
Well, I had already met some of his friends when I went here on my exchange, but I met some of them also in Germany when we went to Cologne. And the other day, I just met Bismarck's mom.
Oh, yes, right?
Yeah.
I just met my mom yesterday.
And I'm still missing to meet his dad. I was really nervous because Bismarck's mom does not speak a lot of English. So I was like, the whole barrier of like language was quite nerve-wracking for me. But she was really nice. And I think it went okay.
She doesn't speak a lot of English to people, but she spoke English to her. So, like, maybe that's a good sign. She even hugged you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you were able to translate.
Oh, yeah.
So,
It was just like meeting her mom. Yeah. Because her mom also doesn't speak a lot of English. So she had to translate some Danish. But now maybe I can speak with her mom because Danish certified A1, which is like I can say I woke up at 5 a.m.
Which is like the basic Danish course that you can take, the first one you take.
Yeah, by little. I mean, we know your plans already. So why you're learning Danish right now, Bismark? There are still many things to basically sort out little by little the next years, right?
Yeah. Quite a lot of things. I mean, if you take them together as a whole, there are a lot of things, but because of a good timeline, you have one thing at a time to do. Because I'm a doctor and I also want to continue working, and I also want to be with her, I would like to practice in Denmark, if that's possible. So, and I will need to do a lot of requirements. I will need to take some exams. The first thing is I would really need to know the language, why I started with at the first course. So I would need to finish a course, and then also the second part will be to put in to get
a family
reunion so that I can really be in Denmark. Mm-hmm. And then there I can start the other process of trying to get a license to like practice in Denmark, which I would have to go through 4 exams, like 4 different exams. There's one about ethics.
One that is for a practical exam, a written exam, and an exam in law.
But that is like the general thing I need to do, the requirements of getting into the country.
That is probably the biggest step, getting into the country, because you need to meet certain requirements, and you need a lot of them. But if you can fill out, like you can meet 6 criteria, and you only fit 3, because some of them are like, you have to have been working for like 5 years. And since I'm not done with medical school and this might just finish, that's just not a possibility we have. But there's certain things like you need to have an apartment that is, I think it's 40 or 25 or something like square meters per person. It does not be in a ghetto. You need to have an education that is longer than a certain amount. And when he needs to meet the requirement of having a certain level. Yeah.
Oh, that's quite a lot. I mean, this directly leads us to your future plans. Or when are you planning actually to live together in Denmark?
So Bismark has to get his license as a doctor, he has to finish his housemanship. And that takes 2 years in that. So after, because that also gives like some kind of security. Like if it doesn't work out for some reason, he can always come back and practice medicine here. And like being a house officer is like the lowest in the food chain, so prevent going back to below. We would be like applying or starting to apply in 2 years for the family union, because it also costs around it's 100,000 Danish krona, which would be like 15,000 euros, which is a lot of money. So we have to start saving up for it.
That's quite a lot, and then like they even have the option to reject it.
Yeah, you get your money back if they. It's a payment you make, but whenever you reach a certain level of Danish, you get some of the money back.
Okay, so it's an investment. It's good. We were talking the other day that you have some options as well, right? So it also could be Norway, right?
Sweden or Germany.
Yeah, we have those 2 options. I've read that if you live in another EU country for like half a year, you can just freely move within EU countries. The thing is just that Ghana has a direct line with Germany somehow, so you can go to Hamburg or Cologne.
I can easily like the path to work in Germany as a doctor is pretty easy in Germany. You need to get a language, and then just one exam you sit for and then you're done. So it's pretty easy to get to work in Germany.
So that could be an option. It's just the thing that Bismark would also have to learn German, and I would have to learn German. And then the other option is Sweden, because I have not really read up on their rules, but somehow they should be an easier country to get into.
So that means in 2 years, most probably, crossing fingers, you will be able to live together anywhere in Europe. So we'll see where the path is going to lead you. But what is the plan in between? I mean, it's still a few months. Right now, Sophie, you are in Ghana. For how much longer will you stay?
I will stay it's until mid-October now, and I will stay until the end of September.
And afterwards, you try to manage to see each other in Europe, most probably. Maybe you fly over to Ghana again in between, depending on how the situation is going to develop. Or is there anything else planned so far?
Yeah, exactly. Because I have 2 months off every year. Mm-hmm. So I kind of try to put them at good places where maybe I could travel. We put the first one around January, the first 3 months around January. Hopefully, if there's not a lot of COVID or if there's not a lot of travel restrictions, should be able to visit her in January. Mm-hmm. But we're thinking that maybe the problem may be that I would have to quarantine for 2 weeks when I get to Denmark, which will only make it possible for 2 weeks. But whatever the case, I think something will happen. Put it in January for now, and then I still haven't chosen the other month of free time, which would be somewhere in next year. Mm-hmm. So we are trying to see how things will work. Whether maybe I would go to Denmark or she would come back, but she also needs to finish some exams to finish school. So it's more like I would travel to Denmark, or maybe meet somewhere in another year.
The thing is that I'm almost in summer 2021, I will be a doctor, and I have a lot of exams in the next semester, so I cannot move because I have a new exam every 5th week. But we are kind of hoping that we can do something in the summer. But we need to be quite flexible due to Corona. So we never, you can't really know if the second wave is or third wave or whatever is gonna come and break the plan. Because we, for instance, already had plans to meet this summer, and Corona just came in a wrecking ball. Basically.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a mission trip.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But all in all, so if I understood correctly, that means that basically you'll just see how the situation will develop, and you will decide, depending on the current situation at that moment, when to see each other again and what to do. Because we do think right now it doesn't make sense to plan anything for the next 6 months. Mm-hmm. You really can't tell how things are going to develop, especially because if I remember correctly, Bismark, you had a problem last time with your visa for Denmark, right?
Yeah, so when we met in September and October, in Germany and then Denmark, I was like, this is cool. I mean, I wouldn't wait for a lot of time to see her again. So we immediately planned for Christmas. I officially wanted to meet her family on Christmas. So I wanted to spend 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks of Christmas, with her, Christmas through to the New Year. So I started putting a lot of paperwork together, because here in Ghana and in most African countries, you need to do a lot of paperwork for visas. Mm-hmm. And then you have so much to prove before you can get a visa. So I put all of them into place, did all of those things. And then I wanted to get a Danish visa because it would be good to get a Danish visa when I had plans to get a permanent Danish visa in the future. So they would know you've already been to Denmark, and then maybe that would help. So I checked all the requirements and everything for a tourist visa, tourist in the category of visiting your girlfriend. The Danish embassy has a lot of categories, even with a tourist or visit visa, they have girlfriend, boyfriend visas, so many different ones. So I needed to put in some pictures of us together, and then fill in an online application form, and then so many other things. But I got all of them, like bank statements of also other people. But I thought I would get a visa because usually I get visas to most European countries.
Mhm.
But I think a week before my travel,
I think it was 4 days.
before my travel, that's when I got the reply that I was denied a visa on the reason of they couldn't justify my reason of like going, which was funny because when I submitted my visa, they told me that they needed more information, and the more information was the text between us, the WhatsApp chat between us, because they wanted to verify the relationship. I remember asking them that, which period do you want? Do you want like a period of a month or something? And then they're like, every. And I actually smiled because I basically don't text with so many people, and then she's the person I text with every time. So I knew it was going to be a whole lot of messages. And I actually asked if I could like do it like digitally or like send it to them, but I needed to print them out. So I printed about 700 pages of text with the pictures out because I first see the pictures.
Oh, God.
So yeah, I had to, and it's funny because I stay about 5 hours away from like I live in another city from where the Danish embassy is, so I had to travel back and forth so many times. It cost me a lot of money. The whole process cost me a lot of money, and then I put in all those texts, and then plus other pictures that they wanted. So I thought I had really justified my relationship. So when I received the reply of we cannot give you a visa because we can't justify the reason for the travel, I was really sad.
Yeah, and I also you also can send an invite. So I sent an online invite where you declare by law that you are actually in a relationship and it's not fake. And you give all the reasons and put down the dates of like when you've seen each other last, and you put in pictures and all that. I also sent that with, and Bismark also had to do a phone interview where they asked me who my best friends were, what were my favorite color, and all that. Wow. I think I called the embassy or like foreign affairs. I think I called them like 10 times, and they kept telling me different things and they couldn't tell me how far in the process it visa were, because it took like 3 or 4 weeks to process the whole thing. So it was quite a turbulent time because the whole not knowing and like finding out like flight tickets gets quite expensive when you buy them last minute. It's a really stressful time.
Yeah. So when I got that, she was really sad. I was very sad. But for me, I always tell myself things can be done differently. Like everything is possible.
He's very optimistic compared to me.
So, I mean, but she has a lot of things compared to like, she painted that wall behind us. So I told myself maybe I can get another visa to another European country in 4 days and still travel to Denmark, which I had done before. So usually I have been to Spain 5 times. So I was like, maybe let me try getting like a tourist visa to Spain and see if it would be fast. So the next day I went back to the city, like the capital city where the embassy was, got all my stuff, and then like went to submit another request, everything, another paperwork and everything. I had to get all of them in a day, and then went to the Spanish embassy for like that. And then so like in 2 days, they just called me, and my visa was ready, and I had a visa in 2 days. So I had like 1 day to prep and plan and buy tickets and everything. The tickets was also another issue, so many different things. But I managed to come into Europe. I went to Spain, and then I went to Denmark. Because within the Schengen, you can move to like. I remember when that first she saw me at the airport. That was a challenge.
So, when going to Denmark next time, are you going to apply for a visa again in Denmark, or will you solve it directly the other way like you did last time?
I would still apply for a Danish visa. Maybe this time I will start way earlier, like maybe early. I don't know even I can start early because with COVID, if my free time is in January and we're already over, I should be applying now. But the Danish embassy, I don't think they're open.
I don't know.
Maybe you should check.
Yeah.
But I would want to try still with the Danish. I want them to know that I am really serious. And
I think that if you have been in a relationship longer and you can prove it together right now, it might make it easier. Like on the side, they also put, when you're like inviting someone, they put all the things you can also put in your files, and that is like what's it called, like for my apartment thing, like my paper for that the paper for that I own my apartment. They would like to put that in. There was like a whole list of weird things. So I was like, I don't even know how to get these papers. If those they also want, I could see that.
So this time you have enough time to prepare for next year then.
And this time she's here. So if I put it in before she leaves, then maybe if they say no, we can go to the embassy together. That we are here, like, see us, we're in a relationship.
It's proven up. Yeah. Yeah, we think it's crazy as well. So we totally understand your situation. We totally understand that it's very nerve-wracking, especially getting this information 5 days before actually flying. So this would have drove me nuts. But in that case, I'm more like Sofie. I'm, as you would say in German, my glass is always half empty. And he would most probably have figured out a way as well to visit. But it's very interesting because I don't know if it's a European thing to be a little bit like skeptical and a little bit careful, especially with institutions like that. Or if it's, I don't know, a woman's thing, I don't know. But I'm totally like you, Sofie. I would have reacted the same way, freaking out.
Well, I really feel that at this point, like, I've learned a lot in life, and I think that especially in the like countries like Germany and Denmark, we're a bit more skeptical, and I think it's the way of looking at life in general, because here in Ghana, they're very friendly, everyone wants to help you and all that, and I'm just not used to that. So the thing is that in Denmark, I feel I have to do everything on my own, which is a lot to put on your shoulders, I think. That is what makes me skeptical, but I know that things don't always work out.
Yeah. Yeah, rules are very strict. That's the same over here in Germany. But in general, I mean, you're dating since 1 year and 2 months. Congrats, by the way. You are living together now. It's for the next 6 weeks, your very first apartment together. And yeah, so last time you told us that this is actually going to be somehow a try out, basically, to see how things are going, how daily life will be. And I think so far you're doing quite good, right? Or how are you feeling with that?
Well, I think that you always have issues when trying to live together. And I think especially that you have not just like, I think that being in a long distance relationship and meeting in like on a vacation where you have time off, it's kind of like being in honeymoon mode constantly. So what we're doing now is like reality actually hits you and you're doing a more everyday life. And that is a bit more difficult, like discussing like what kind of bed sheet you should have, or should you paint your wall?
What kind of wall color it should be?
Yeah, like what is good, and like combining like a Danish and United lifestyle. Like it's difficult, but so far, like we've had no fights concerning how to live.
Maybe the only fight could be what movie we should choose about Netflix, but like we haven't had that.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah,
not yet. Yeah. Yeah, but I think in general, the cultural difference, it can be an issue, and you're totally aware of that, because it seems like Bismarck is a little bit more easygoing, while Sofie is more like organized, strict, like very organized.
That's the words.
Yeah.
Organized, strict.
So everything has to go according a plan. Yeah, I feel you, Sophie, by the way. And that can be like sometimes. I mean, in our case, because Nacho is exactly the same. He's very easygoing, and in the beginning, like he drove me crazy with that. I was always like, how can you be so chilled in a moment, like in a situation like that you're supposed to take very serious? And he's like, yeah, but what should I do? I mean, and after all, I can't change it. So it's either I'm going to put a lot of effort, a lot of thought into it, or I accept it the way it is and I work around it. And it took like 1 year, I think. And I started basically to we met in the middle somehow. And that's very interesting. But it took a while.
I started being more on point.
Yeah, that was an issue.
For example.
But yeah. I would still tell him if we have appointments that this, like, for example, if we meet friends at 6 p.m., I would tell him, hey, we meet at 5. Because he always takes some time to get started and get into the car. Sometimes he would forget his shoes or he's searching for his wallet. And I'm like, okay, I'm used to it. So whatever.
You have to make the most out of your time.
Yeah, that's true. But those are just funny examples. So
yeah, I feel like Bismark actually adjusts when we go to Denmark, but he is on time in Denmark. But here in Ghana, it kind of went back to Ghana time, as they call it. Because whenever I ask him, like, what time should we meet, or like if we meet a meeting in town, I always ask if it's like Danish time or Ghana time.
Well, because like some of the things you really cannot, like, so far all the meetings that we've done, for example, I know I have to like review like 2 patients in the hospital. But then once you're done with the revision, you know, someone needs like to get like a blood, like someone needs blood transfusion, someone needs this, someone needs that. Those are times you really cannot like put in. And also there's traffic in Ghana, like so all those little things probably not let me be on time. But like I'm also trying so much to really do Danish time. So we're meeting in the middle, trying to be in the middle. Like we still wanted different colors in the apartment, and she has her wall painted. I have my wall painted white, right in the middle. Nice, you know? But yeah, I feel like the whole living together thing, making it an everyday life thing, it's really so important because this is how it's going to be if we are finally like going to be together. And then we needed this mock to know that like we would fit, even though it is not what would tell us we would fit, it's still us and what we think. But it is a good example for us to learn from and even help us to know what the other person really wants, what pisses them off, what makes them more happy, because you would need all those things for surprise. Because we really love surprises in this relationship. The thing we do, and I really want to know exactly how she feels about every daily action, like even passion.
Yeah, I just think it's very important for long distance relationships to not take everything, like you're really putting a lot of effort into meeting and like maybe like moving in together and all that if you don't know if it's actually going to work. Because I've been in prior relationships where you really thought it's going to work out, and when it comes to it, you don't really function together in like an everyday life. Because often if you go on vacation, why wouldn't it function? Because you're like loose and like everything is good and you have no stress. But if you add the stressor, that is when you really know if you can function together.
Yeah, exactly. And if you really can count on each other, that's important. Yeah. But so far, it seems like Bismark has your back and the other way around as well.
And also I think it makes it a little bit easier that with the whole culture difference for us, that Bismark is a bit more easygoing. And like I feel like Danish culture is not as pushing as like you could be very strict that you need to get married and you can't live together. You could have been like some of the people here are very old fashioned, so I could also have met a very old fashioned person who were a bit more
So all in all, what would you say is the biggest challenge in your relationship so far? The cultural difference?
Not so much.
I think it's actually the unknown stuff at this point, because we didn't know Corona was going to be there, and we went 9 months without seeing each other, and now we are seeing each other, but we actually do not know when we're going to see each other again. And like, if I don't know how long people could go, but I'm a very person who likes to like cuddle and like all that, and I'm kind of missing that when I'm at home. Like, I live alone, so for me, like, I live by myself. I have my day by myself, and during COVID, I didn't see like people. And for me, that if I had to go a year with that, I would consider if it was worth it, because it's very hard to be on your own like that.
For me, I have family really close by, because our culture is more like family. You're still always close to your family, even like your really extended family. I still talk with my great grandmother. I told her like to stay there before like she goes. I need to show her like my girlfriend. She's actually 120 years old.
Wow. Really? What? 120? Wow.
So we have that. So I understand when she says like she lives alone, because for me, during all the time of the COVID, I lived with my family. I went back home. I stayed with like the whole extended family. My uncles were there, my aunties were there, my cousins were there in their like family house. So it's not as like alone as it feels. So for 9 months, I was hurting not seeing Sofie, but other things caught my attention. So like family and then play, drama and everything. So the uncertainties in this relationship are what we are really scared about. And then every time we have different uncertainties coming into play. So that's what makes it really hard. Because like we're together now, and then she's going to leave at the end of November. But then we get back to our old state when we don't know when we're seeing each other again.
So all in all, do you feel like you'll be able to manage those uncertainties? Or is it, I mean, of course it's not easy, but how do you deal with that in general? So is there any advice you could give, or is it more like staying connected, talking every day, surprising each other, and closing the distance somehow in another way? So what advice is it you could give?
Well, in general, I think that you just prepare that there's going to be ups and downs, and there are going to be days where you don't think it's worth it, because it's going to be tough. And there's days where I'm like, is it really worth it? And he's so far away. Can this happen? Like, is this even going to work? And I think that life in general is like there's ups and downs. And there's, for instance, also medical school. There's days where I think like I'm going to be a doctor one day. And there's other days where I'm like, I cannot even manage to beat this page. So it's going to be the same. So what we do just to like keep it alive is that FaceTime, we talk every day. We send each other care packages. Like, I think you should really try to stay connected and like talk about your life. That you should try to find activities that you can do together. There's, for instance, Netflix party where you can watch the same movie at the same time. So it's like forcing when you don't have to sit on the phone and be like, okay, I'm pressing play. Are you also pressing play? We could also, for instance, do a cooking class where you're teaching the other one to make food from their country or the other way around. Like, you should find activities that you can do. For instance, I sent Bismark a care package where I sent him, he loves caramel popcorn because that's, I think they have here in the cinema. So I sent like a whole package for a date night with popcorn and the things to put the popcorn in, candy and everything. So just in general, you should find activities that keeps the spark alive even through you're far away from each other.
Yeah, just a little I will add is that you really also need to learn along the way, because there's no book to this, there's no manual to this. It's just from like how you take every step and how you manage every step. So you really need to learn from what you have and what you have done in the past. For me, living in Ghana is full of a lot of uncertainties. So my life has been like a lot of uncertainties, not bad uncertainties, but you know that it could be a different thing. Okay. So for me, I always live with this such optimism. And then like I try to make it happen because it has to be a conscious effort. If it's not a conscious effort and it's passive, the other things will be decided for you by practice. But if you, for example, we decided that we would work out together, okay, and we all have like workout goals, okay. So we can use sometimes night run competition app to see who can run like a 50-kilometer in less days in a month, okay. So like doing all such activities together make you know that you are putting in a conscious effort to make this happen. Because the uncertainties are actually basic. They would always come. They would always happen. But then if you put in a conscious effort to make sure you stay so connected, then I think you really have a chance. And it's only a chance, not like a certainty. So you know that you really need to put in a lot of effort to make it happen.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that if you, for instance, meet and you do long distance right after that you should not expect you to know whether you want to spend the rest of your life together, because would you base that if you had one day or 1 week with another person? You can't really base that on such a little period of time, or at least I can. So I think that sometimes you should not put that much pressure on a relationship. So I think that a lot of the people I've talked with who are in long distance relationships, they have to figure a lot of stuff out at a really early stage, and maybe being a little bit more easygoing, or like taking it one step at a time, instead of being like, okay, we met, and if you want to move in together and live in this country, you need to do this and this and this. You could prepare it, but maybe not put everything into it in the beginning, because it puts a lot of pressure, like having met a person for such a short while and making all these big life decisions that you wouldn't have done if it was someone who was in the same town as you.
One other thing is it's also possible to have a really long-term project together, not only short-term things like running or like cooking or like care packages, but have like a really long-term fun together. For us, we're trying to finish up the setup of a foundation that we're having. Mm-hmm. And then that is a long-term thing. So some of these things sometimes give you the reason to stay together when your uncertainties become so big that, that doesn't have to be problems with both of you, but just your uncertainties. Then you have like a bigger reason to stay together, because maybe you are impacting your community in a different way because both of you are together, or because you have this project together that would serve a better population than just both of you. So these things may help.
Thank you for being so honest. I just love that you're just straightforward, and yes, you just said not everything is just wow and amazing. Of course, it's amazing to have someone who's supporting you 100% through a distance like that, but also being aware that it comes with some challenges, and basically also how to deal with those challenges. And this is really just something you can overcome when sticking or when supporting each other and sticking together, and understand each other and have open communications also about how you're feeling, and not trying to be nice. And I mean, nice is the wrong word in that sense, but not trying to be polite maybe as well, but basically to show how you're feeling and to show the bunch of emotions you're feeling right now, in a way that the other person will understand as well. It's just, I mean, if I think back, I think we had that a few times as well, where it was just like having you on the phone or on Skype, and I was super sad, and I was like, okay, this is never going to work out, and I just let it out, everything, and I wasn't afraid if I'm going to say anything wrong, because this was the way I felt in that very moment. And he luckily stayed cool because I was a wreck. I was like, oh my God, we'll never be able to manage that. It's like so many kilometers. We'll never be able to live together. Like, you do have days where you think this is not going to work out. But I would let him know, and he would get the whole load of emotions. And I was like, okay, here, that's me. You get it, deal with it. And he always figured it out, luckily. So he was always, okay, calm down. So what are you thinking about? What's your doubt? Can I do anything for you? And what I needed in that very moment was also basically to have those emotions and to feel it. But then I would feel better directly afterwards. And he's still there, luckily.
Yeah, I think they're quite similar because we had the exact same thing where I freak out and he calms me down.
Yeah. No, but there's also nothing you can say in that moment. And it's just like have emotions like that are so normal, and that you're overwhelmed with so many things. And of course you want to live together. And of course you're planning your future. And of course you will love to know where the future is going to lead you. But as you just said, you can't. It's one step after the other. And actually, a coworker of mine, because there were times at work where I wasn't really there. So my body was there, but my mind was somewhere else. My mind was with him, and my mind was like, are we going to be able to manage all this? And a coworker of mine said at that point, like, Christina, what you're doing right now is basically, you see the whole bunch of things. You see the whole thing right now. This is something you shouldn't do. Just grab a few things out of it. The mountain in front of you, just grab a few things and work on those few things little by little. And then at some point, the mountain is going to be not as big as it used to be. And then you finally see a goal, and you finally be able to have a clear head. But for that, you need to take one step after one step at a time. And this is exactly what I did. I mean, it's so easy if you think about it that way. But once you're in this situation, you'll be overwhelmed. And having someone being like, okay, relax, all good, we'll be fine, nothing to worry about. I mean, I'm still amazed that I didn't chase him away, to be honest. But yeah, this is life.
Oh, that's cute.
Adding to that, I must say I love and this is a major key, right? What you said about conscious effort. I think that's so important as well. Like, if you really want something, like, just, work for it and do it before someone else, like you said, does it for you. So that's amazing, man. You were talking about the foundation as well, right? So that's a long-term project you guys have and are starting to work on, or?
Yeah. So we have this foundation called the Mitra Foundation. I love kids. She also do love kids. So like here in Ghana, we have quite a lot of issues with a lot of things. So when I was studying in the hospital, I saw a lot of kids who had we have a health insurance that covers for like basic health stuff, but not like really big treatments, like some bigger surgeries and some bigger chemo treatments and other things. And I found that it was really sad when we had some children who couldn't pay for such stuff. That was actually the main idea I started with Mitra Foundation, that if I could in any way get people to help pay for like the expenses of such treatments for kids, it would really be good. So I started Mitra Foundation, and it's Sofie, and Sofie's like, oh, it's a good idea. We can all like make this project big. So we registered a company as the non-government NGO. Yeah. And then Sofie also brought an idea that, we have like this project where she could crochet octopuses. Yeah.
So in Denmark, we have a project where all the NICUs get small crocheted octopuses because apparently the arms of the octopus is supposed to feel like the navel string, and these NICU babies are very young and they really need to be in a safe environment. So I tried to implement it here in Ghana. So I wrote to this hospital here in Kumasi where Bismark worked. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, they thought it was a little bit they were afraid that it wouldn't fit the culture. They were afraid that they would feel like small monsters here, that they are pretty superstitious. So if like the baby got sicker, they would maybe blame the octopus. But I haven't given up hope. I also sent it to the hospital in Accra. But unfortunately, because of COVID, they have not really gotten back to me.
Yeah, right. So, but that is like one side of the foundation to help kids any way we can. So we get people to donate to like Mitra Foundation, and then we use that money to like help it to need them. The other side is I really love preventive medicine, like public health and like the environment. So the other side of the foundation is a community development project. My city is just 1 hour away from a very nice lake. And we have like some small towns and villages around there who need a lot of help. So the other side of the foundation is to help like the communities to develop in terms of like health education around the environment, going green, and like so many other different stuff. So we recently got a land around the lake where we would put like, should I say headquarters, or like maybe like put houses over there where we can like have volunteers and people are from Ghana and all parts of the world to like come and help the community with like health development and environment and everything. And also like mostly like educates people about like why the environment needs to be green, why we should like stop some of the things we do. Basically, that is what the foundation is about. It's really new. We just started it like it's maybe a year, right? Just around the time we met. Yeah, I had already started it, but she just got into the idea, and then so far we are still like on it. But COVID has like
slowed the process down a bit.
Yeah. She even designed like the logo and then everything for like the foundation. That's what we do sometimes. Like we're here to make t-shirts and other things. And then we can have some public campaigns about it. For us, this is like something we can both work on together, which is not like for our relationship, but for a bigger thing like the environment and people.
And the foundation has already helped a small kid who has retinoblastoma, which is like cancer in the eye. And it's paying for his treatments.
Yeah, we have people who donated and then we're paying for his treatment. And he's actually almost done with treatment. It's going good.
That's amazing, man. So how can our listeners help the foundation? Do you have a PayPal account or Instagram account where they can get to know more about it?
Yeah, we recently started an Instagram account, but we don't have so much there because like the foundation is still young. We are registered in Ghana with like the registration department as a non-profit organization. So to our listeners, if you want to help, we do have a PayPal account that is just like our personal PayPal account. But we are here to like put in like an official bank details for the foundation. But if you want to help, you can get in touch from our Instagram. It's Mitra Foundation Ghana. And then you can send any help you want to do. And then you can also be specific about what you want the help to go into, whether the community development or like to the kids. Yeah, any form of like help would be really appreciated. It's like COVID has even made things worse now.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna put your Instagram name definitely in our side notes. So for everyone who's listening right now, can basically look it up and donate. Because I do think that the next years and months, they do have a lot for you to come. Like, it's gonna be incredible what you're going to build within the next few years. And I'm so excited to see where basically the next weeks are going to lead you to. So yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's actually like part of like relaxing. You relax like talking to other people.
It was great to get to know your story and
to see you happy.
Yeah.
Because this really makes us happy as well. See you like, and no, really, if anyone could see you right now, they would be like, oh, like this is why I'm smiling the whole time, because you're just so cute.
Thank you. We always like look at other couples who like from different like Instagram, and then love is not tourism, and then they also gives us, just like as I said last time, a lot of hope and a lot of like reason to fight on sometimes. So like it's nice to see what other people have done, how other people are trying to survive.
Yeah.
We want to help with our story.
I really hope, or we really hope, that we'll be able to follow up soon. Latest when you guys are going to see each other again in Europe. And we'll definitely keep in touch. And we are very, very curious where the next month are going to lead you to. So it's going to be amazing. So excited for that. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Take care and enjoy your dinner.
Yeah.
You too.
Thanks. Bye.
Ciao.
Bye, ciao.